Oppenheimer was a man with many talents and could speak 8 languages, wrote poetry, and had a sensitive and fragile spirit. But still, we all know him as a father of the atomic bomb, a man who created the power for humans to destroy themselves. Hello guys, welcome to a new video on the Black Ocean. Today we're going to talk about the Oppenheimer, that the atomic bomb he had been created there. When people met Oppenheimer for the first time, the first characteristics that was revealed to them was his extraordinary intelligence. According to one of his colleagues, this man was incredible. On the other hand, acquiring knowledge was the easier thing for Robert. For example, he was able to learn Dutch completely in 6 weeks just to give a speech. Robert was born on April 22nd, 1904 in New York. His father, Julius, was a rich businessman and his mother was an artist and painter. Since his childhood, Robert had an extraordinary talent in learning various topics, which made him to be accepted and study in an elite private school. And when he was only 11 years old, he wrote his first scientific article. During his student days, he was very interested in becoming a chemist, but after finishing the school and entering Harvard University at that same time, his interest and inclination towards physics increased, and finally he was attracted to experimental physics after taking thermodynamics courses. However, Robert was also very interested in French and Greek philosophy and literature. He spent most of his life in the library, and because of that, his social relations were not very good. Oppenheimer graduated from Harvard University after 4 years and went to Cambridge University to continue his studies and to be able to use the knowledge from the well-equipped Cambridge laboratories for research in this field of experimental physics. But the thing about Robert was that contrary to his interest, talent, and intelligence, he was clumsy in doing laboratory work, and it can be said that his strength was theoretical physics. Unfortunately, Robert Oppenheimer could not find a suitable job for himself at that time of his life due to his excessiveness in doing laboratory work, and this caused him to suffer from depression and emotional instability, and strange behaviors were seen from him. For example, once he tried to give an apple poison with chemicals to one of his university professors because he had theoretical problem with him, but fortunately the professor noticed that trick and did not eat that apple. Robert decided to leave Cambridge and go to one of the research centers in Germany in the University of Göttingen, where he would meet the great physicist. Finally, he received his PhD in 1927. After that, he returned to America and worked as a university professor at the California Institute of Technology and the University of Berkeley. But he did not perform very well in the field of teaching. At the same time as working in educational collection, Oppenheimer advances his research in his field of energy process of subatomized particles. With the beginning of the 1930s and the rise of fascism in Europe, Oppenheimer's interest in the world of politics increased. After the Nazi invasion of Poland in 1939, a group of physicists such as Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard warned the US government about a great and devastating danger. These scientists, in collaboration with the Italian physicists, after conducting numerous researches and experiments, discovered the possibility of fission of the uranium nucleus for the first time and realized that when neutrons hit the uranium nucleus, they can release a very large and destructive amount of energy. The next of that letter includes an explanation of this issue as well as a warning that if the Nazis are the first to use this feature of uranium to make a nuclear weapon, they can be in danger all of humanity, and we must achieve this weapon before the Germans. This letter was able to attract the attention of President Franklin and have a direct impact on his decision to establish the National Defense Research Council. Finally, this council saw that the Manhattan Project and the leadership of this project was entrusted to Robert Oppenheimer in 1943. Since 1932, before all these events and discoveries, Robert had started his extensive research in this field of nuclear physics, and he had both of experience and knowledge needed to lead this project, and he was very interested in practicing in the scientific project related to American security. Although this project was not limited to the location, and the famous scientists of the world could work on this problem in a different parts of the world, but Oppenheimer decided to build a central base to conduct research and build the atomic bomb in the abandoned area in Los Alamos. Finally, in February 1945, Oppenheimer, with the help of a number of physicists, presented two final plans for the atomic bomb. One with the name and code of the little boy, which was a uranium bomb. They were so sure about it that they did not need a final test. And the next bomb was the Fat Man, which was a plutonium bomb, which, unlike the previous example, they were not very sure about and needed a final test. Finally, by order of Oppenheimer, on July 16, 1945, the Fat Man explosion was tested in the desert of New Mexico. After the explosion test, the scientists working on this project were delighted with their success. But Oppenheimer was not. At exactly the same time, Oppenheimer quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am exiled death, the destroyer of worlds."
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
On August 6, 1945, the President of the United States ordered the use of the atomic bomb, the most formidable weapon in human history, on Japan to force them to surrender and end the war. The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and 90% of the buildings were destroyed in the blink of an eye. And 80,000 people, most civilians, died immediately. 1,000 more died over time from the destructive effects of radioactivity. However, Japan did not surrender immediately, and this caused the second bomb to be dropped in Nagasaki City 3 days later, on August 19th, and another 42,000 people lost their lives. Finally, on August 14th, 1945, Japan surrendered and suddenly World War II ended. After this incident, Oppenheimer felt guilty about his own invention and creation and said this weapon was very cruel and inhuman and proved the evil of modern war. But over time, in various interviews that Oppenheimer had, he distanced himself from his responsibility and said that "I do not feel a burden on my conscience, and the responsibility for such an incident lies with governments, not scientists." However, after the war, Robert Oppenheimer became an advisor on US atomic policy, but the destruction he created became problematic for himself in another way. In 1949, the Soviet Union conducted its first successful test of an atomic explosion, and the American government accused Oppenheimer of spying for the Soviet Union with a series of documents such as communication with the Communist Party in his youth. Finally, a trial was held against Oppenheimer, and in addition to the fact that Robert provided complete and convincing explanation about his lack of connection with the Communist Party and the Soviet Union, the court ordered his removal from his position. Robert Oppenheimer was humiliated and lost all the power, status, and respect he had. Now, with the passage of years and the publication of hundreds of pages of confidential reports of Oppenheimer's performance and meeting, it showed that it was not really treason, but because he refused to build a more deadly destructive weapon, the hydrogen bomb he was conspired against to be removed. The production and construction of weapons that could be many times more powerful and destructive than the atomic bomb was incomprehensible, unnecessary, and immoral for Oppenheimer. After his dismissal and cancellation of his security clearance, Oppenheimer went to New Jersey, where he continued his previous job teaching in research centers. Years later, the President of the United States personally offered Oppenheimer that he could return to his previous position, but Oppenheimer did not accept this offer. Oppenheimer was diagnosed with throat cancer in 1965 and finally died on February 18, 1967 at the age of 62. His wife took Robert's ashes to an island and dropped them in the sea, which is known as the Oppenheimer Beach. The product of Oppenheimer created a frightening time in human history. This scientist created for us human to power to destroy ourselves and house we live in.
I remember that we first responded to the question, what do scientists think, by saying that they think a variety of things and this is only natural. On the one hand, they hoped that this instrument would never be used in war, and therefore they hoped that we would not start out by using it. On the other hand, they hoped, or other people hoped, that it would put an end to this war, save countless lives, put an end to a butchery that had been going on for many years and had been marked by atrocities, concentration camps, murderous raids on cities, on Rotterdam and Dresden and Tokyo itself. You ask yourself, would the Japanese government, as then constituted, and with the bitter division between the peace party and the war party, would it have been influenced by an enormous nuclear firecracker detonated at great height, doing little damage? And your answer is as good as mine. I don't know. I know only that I was told that an invasion was planned, that it would be necessary, and that it would be terribly costly.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and like the video and share the video with your friend. And here you are with the recommended movie and the book for today. We'll see you very soon. Goodbye.